Going to do a video right here. So it says Congress certifies Biden's victory after day of chaos. You look at it, here's 7 things that will change with Dems controlling Senate. You saw MSNBC host doesn't hold back on take on DC rioters. So when people were protesting but setting things on fire and bashing windows, how come they didn't call them rioters then? Notice the terminology changes. So basically, also too, they did this Thursday morning. So right now it's 1:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 4:15 in the morning Eastern Standard Time in the United States. So notice that they do everything. They like to do everything right around that 2 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the morning thing. Okay, got it. And it says right here, so after an extraordinary act of violence, okay, how come they weren't calling people that were burning down buildings and housings and bashing things and stealing things, how come they weren't calling it violence? Like, after an extraordinary act of violence from a riotous mob on Wednesday afternoon forced U.S. legislators to evacuate the Capitol during the counting of the Electoral College votes in the presidential election, Congress voted in the morning hours of Thursday to certify the results. President-elect Biden defeated President Trump. While Republican lawmakers challenged the results in Arizona and Pennsylvania, those objections did not withstand a vote in either of the House or Representatives or the Senate. At approximately 3:33 in the morning, so see what I was telling you? On Thursday, Congress had verified electoral votes to surpass the 270 threshold that Biden would become the president, effectively ending a desperate bid by Biden. Okay, so notice their subjectives are extraordinary act of violence from a mob. It says the announcement of the state of the vote, Pence stated, by the president of Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected president and vice president of the United States each term for the beginning of the 20th day of January 2021. Moments after Pence declared Biden the winner of the election, Trump released a false-laden statement in which he pledged an orderly transition of power. He's like, even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, nevertheless, there will be an ordinary transition on January 20th. He also said, had always said we would continue our fight to ensure that only legal votes were counted. While this represents the end of our greatest first term in presidential history, it's only the beginning of our fight to make America great again. And that's what is being said and reported. Do you see the differentiation in words? Because I remember when by the way, I recorded it. I screenshotted it all. But they weren't talking like this. They would have been saying, after protests on Wednesday afternoon, legislators you see what I'm saying? That's what they would have done. But notice how they like to do everything while everybody's sleeping. You know, that nice little that 2 to 4 window in the morning. Notice that window that I was talking about. Yeah. Notice that little window of everybody's asleep, so now let's do stuff. Too bad they didn't stay up late. The everybody that deals with like other issues like disabilities, veterans, fixing the social security system. Too bad they didn't spend hours late at night on other issues. Wouldn't that be nice if you woke up like 5 o'clock in the morning one day and they passed a bill to raise Social Security funding for people that are disabled and elderly? That'd be great news. What if you woke up one time and they passed a bill to allow expedited medical treatments for stem cell research if it shows efficacy and safety? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great if you woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning? No, what you're waking up to is you're waking up to votes. That's all it is. You're waking up to votes, and so that's it. I mean, that's. Now, I wouldn't disagree that if everything's some of it's reported true, there was acts of violence. I have absolutely no problem with the wording whatsoever if it was transparent. If this person was writing when the riots, arson, and felonious assault were happening, and attempted manslaughter, when all those things were happening, it would have been nice if they would have wrote that when the riots were happening a long time ago. Now, since it's on the other side, now it's an act of violence. No, it always was an act of violence. Vandalism, it was always an act of violence. So, it's very interesting to see that you're seeing exactly reverse. You're seeing prejudiced against one group versus the other group. And so, luckily, you have people like me who record things, who take screenshots, and go through everything objectively, and then that's it. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, if somebody got hurt and there's people beating each other up, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with this. It'd just be transparent when it was happening the other way. That's all. So you can't. So this whole thing, her first paragraph, just negates everything that she wrote after this. It just negates it because you're starting off with a bias and expect me to read for fact. So the only fact I can read is the quotations because that's the only thing that's gonna be fact. And I don't know if the quotes were taken out of I don't know. You can take any quote. So I will say this. It was highly unlikely that Pence would have done anything because you have to think about it from this way. If Pence would have blockaded the votes or overturned, then that sets a precedent to where in 4 years, say Biden loses, right, or Harris, that sets a precedent where they could do the same thing. You know what I mean? And so you don't like to do those things. Now, if there was provable evidence, which is hard to do because if you think about it, like who was walking around with like a camcorder or like thinking about like having a cell phone and recording everything, like you're not I'm sure they weren't thinking about time. So when it comes to he said versus she said type of stuff, you kind of need to provide some proof that supports the circumstantial evidence, if you will, right? So, like, if somebody would have said, hey, here's this, that probably would have given Pence something to go off of and say, okay, well, but Pence has nothing to go off of really, right? He doesn't really have anything. I mean, yeah, there was a bunch of people doing testimony. Yeah, some seemed compelling, others didn't really. And again, I can release those videos as well as I was watching it and breaking it down. But to be honest with you, I think the article could have been more transparent. I don't like this either. A third stimulus check. Biden says 2,000 checks will go out the door if Democrats win Georgia. That's like bribing, right? That's like bribing for a vote. Like, I'm going to do this, Georgia, if you vote for me. So, yeah. So, this is all garbage. It's all race, clickbait, gender identity. All of it's garbage. I mean, you can read everything here. But no president should say, if somebody wins or something, if you vote for me, this is gonna no. That's a form of bribery. If I told somebody, if I called up a professor, and I said, hey, if I get an A in this class on my final, wink wink, I am going to give you my student loan money for the semester. Come on, dude. What Biden just did, right? If this is true, and again, this is being reported in the political section by Kiplinger, but if this is true, then Biden is just using your poor situation, and taking advantage of people with a coronavirus to get your vote. That is sick. It's no different than somebody going out and buying hand sanitizer and selling it for quadruple the price because people are desperate. So shame on Biden if he actually came out and said that. That's bribery. I mean, what do you want to call that? You're bribing people, and you're doing it in a bad situation. So, there's not one good thing on this homepage, but yeah, that's it. They did it in the morning. They certified in the morning, 3:33 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. Anyways, feel free to subscribe, and well, that is.